You know, for decades, we've all been talking about well-being. But what if I told you that the very language we use has been holding us back? We're about to explore how changing just two little words can completely flip the script, moving us away from just managing a problem and toward cultivating our most valuable asset. Okay, so first, I want you to just take a moment with me here. When you hear the phrase mental health, what's the first thing that pops into your head? What are those immediate feelings? For a lot of us, right, it kind of has this sound of illness. It makes us think of problems, of labels, of the idea that something might be wrong. All right, now let's swap that out. Think about the phrase mental wealth. Just feel that for a second. It's different, isn't it? The whole conversation in your head just shifted. It feels like an asset, something you can actually invest in, something you can cultivate and grow. It's about value and strength and possibility. So if we're going to build this more empowering future, we first have to get real and understand the fundamental flaws in our current approach. You know, despite all the good intentions, it's just not working as well as it could be. See, the whole mental health framework, it's failing us in three really big ways. First, the language itself. It creates this black or white situation. You're either sick or you're not. Second, the identity it gives us. It assigns these fixed labels that can make temporary states feel like permanent conditions. And finally, the action it promotes. It's all reactive. We wait for the house to be on fire before we even think about grabbing the extinguisher, instead of fireproofing it in the first place. This quote really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The language itself actually programs us to look for what's broken. It forces us into this question, what's wrong with me? And as soon as you ask that, you're on the defensive, and all your energy goes toward fixing deficits instead of building on your strength. And what happens then? Well, this system basically turns us into what you might call human doings. We're just following a script, a program of judgment and reaction. We become these bulls in a china shop, just reacting based on whatever society's program tells us to do, instead of acting from our own deep internal wisdom. So, what if we just change the goal entirely? This is the paradigm shift we're talking about, moving from managing a liability to proactively cultivating an asset. Let's dive into the real power of mental wealth. And look, mental wealth isn't just some fluffy, positive thinking buzzword. It's a totally different goal. It's a true asset. And just like financial wealth, when you actually invest in it, it pays you back with huge returns in things like resilience, creativity, and your ability to perform at your best. I mean, just look at the difference here, side by side. It's night and day. On the left, with mental health, you're asking, what's wrong with me? You're focused on problems, and it just drains your energy. But on the right, with mental wealth, you're asking, what do I need to flourish? You're focused on solutions, and that actually generates energy. It's a massive shift. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we make it practical? Well, building this asset really comes down to three core pillars of cultivation. It all comes down to these three pillars: actively working on yourself, understanding that energy is everything, and building real awareness. These three things together, they form the foundation for a life that is truly mentally wealthy. Let's break them down. The first pillar is work on you, and it's all about mastering this incredible concept of kairos. So the ancient Greeks, they were smart. They had two different words for time. Chronos is what we know, the ticking clock, 1 second after another. But kairos, that's different. That's the right moment, the opportune, perfect moment for action. There's this amazing personal story from the source material that illustrates this perfectly. After a brutal 6-month stretch, the speaker felt a breakdown coming on. On impulse, they booked a trip to a little town in Croatia called Trogir. And get this, it was only after they arrived that they discovered the town is famous for being the home of the Greek spirit, Kairos. That trip wasn't an escape, it was a Kairos moment. It was a strategic, proactive investment to rebuild their mental wealth. And if you want a really simple way to picture why this is so important, think about this. Your mind is a bucket. Every project, every pressure, every tough conversation, that's a tennis ball you throw in. If you don't intentionally take those moments, those kairos moments, to work on you and empty some balls out, what's going to happen? Eventually, that bucket is going to overflow. All right, pillar number 2, energy is everything. Because let's be honest, energy is like this invisible currency that flows through every organization, every family. And in way too many places, there's this toxic thing happening called TOP, or transference of pressure. You've seen it. A stressed out leader dumps it on their manager, who then dumps it on their team. It just gets passed down the line like a hot potato, poisoning the whole environment. But what's the opposite of that? Well, check out this beautiful story. The same speaker arrives at a hotel completely wiped out. The receptionist, a woman named Branka, sees his stress, and she doesn't just hand him a key and go through the motions. No, she stops, sits him down, and just shows him genuine care and love. She didn't transfer pressure, she generated wealth. That's a true human being interaction. And that brings us to our final pillar, awareness is the key, which is what really ties everything together. And our language is one of the most powerful tools we have to build it. Just look at the energy difference between these two questions. The one on the left keeps you stuck in the problem. The one on the right, though, it immediately points you toward a solution. A simple tweak in words changes everything. And this is so important. There is a massive difference between knowing something and truly owning it. So many of us know we're burnt out. That's passive. But owning that you need a break and then actually doing something about it, that's action, that's ownership. And this is why awareness is the key. Without it, you can't spot your Kairos moment, and you won't even notice the transference of pressure happening all around you. So, making this shift from that reactive mental health model to a proactive mental wealth strategy, it's one of the best investments you can possibly make. And to help you get started, here's your home play for the week. Okay, first, for you personally, just ask yourself this one quality question. What am I actively doing to cleanse and build my mental wealth space this week? And second, for your team, your family, your friends, just start becoming aware of the words you use. Start focusing on creating that sound of well-being, that sound of empowerment in every single one of your interactions. At the end of the day, all of this really just reminds us of one simple truth. Our external world is so often shaped by our internal one. So the question is, are we going to keep promoting this sound of illness, or are we ready to start cultivating a sound of mental wealth? Because as this final thought reminds us, paradise isn't someplace you find, it's a feeling you create.